Hey everyone, it's Phoenix. Making a video today to sort of respond to some of the feedback on the mini cutter laser weapon mod. So, the main thing I heard from people, and first of all, I really appreciate the feedback. It just helps make everything better so I can know what to focus on improving. But the main thing I heard from people was that the weapon was just kind of OP. Um, and going back and looking at it, I kind of agree. Um, there was a lot about it that was just a little OP. The main thing is that for after level 58, when you start always getting advanced quality level, the big thing is that in the base game, the cutter laser weapon doesn't have quality levels. So with the mini cutter, since it has the full quality level support, it increases the damage that it does as the quality level increases. Having the baseline damage be significantly higher than the base cutter scales that damage up a little bit too high, too fast as you level up. Was a main problem with that. So what I focused on doing with the update here is I didn't want to take anything away because that's never fun, but I wanted to add a new weapon mod that you can put on in the weapon crafting station. So it now has a new category of magazines and battery it didn't have before, where you can make a trade-off between how long your battery charge lasts and how much damage your weapon does. Uh, so that allows, and the range that I gave it is all the way down to basically starting at the same damage as the base game cutter. Um, so imagine if the base game cutter actually had quality levels. Um, that's basically the lowest possible amount of damage that you can have, and that is the lowest option, scaling all the way up to basically where it was before. But I wanted to give you the option to actually do that yourself. And I'll show how that works. There are some perks you have to unlock, but you do have that option now to fully customize it. The other thing, there were some tweaks to how the damage ramps up between the quality tiers. Is a little more gradual. It peaks a little, not quite so high, um, to kind of bring it in line. And then when you just get a drop, um, without any mods whatsoever. So, like after your character gets to about level 58, you start getting advanced drops. When you get an advanced mini cutter, the baseline damage is going to be right about here. Um, so it's 46. And I have here a mag shear, which has basically the same um, perks. So I wanted to have concussive on there just so it's a fair comparison. But this is basically just like a straight, um, unmodified, other than these, perks it's got on it, mag shear. So if you were just to get an advanced mag shear and you were just to get an advanced mini cutter, you can compare these two here, and you see the mini cutters actually got lower damage than the mag shear. In fact, it's 46 versus 54. It doesn't seem like that much lower, but consider that even with rapid, um, the fire rate on this is only 106 compared to uh, the mag shear 300, which is just three times as much. So that's why the DPS, if you use Star UI, you can see the DPS of that mag shear is around 1600, and then the DPS of the standard at the new level mini cutter is like a third of that because of that fire rate. So um, this is where about it was before. It would have been about the same DPS. Um, but there's other considerations. So, like, part of the reason why it seems so OP is because lasers proc burning if you have the perk for it. And with a really high fire rate laser like the mini cutter, which there aren't that many, I don't really know of any other really high fire rate lasers that can proc that burning so often. Basically, with a 106 or even like a 80 something without rapid, that mini cutter is going to be proccing burning pretty much as long as you're pointing the laser at something. That is a really strong proc that adds a lot of DPS. So that has to be factored in as well, which I think is a big part of why it seemed so OP before. So I think this is a new, as a baseline, this is going to be a much more fair and balanced point. And then I've got some other versions of the cutter here. This one is the nerfed version, which I'll show you in the weapon station. You can actually set the damage basically to the same as the game's mini cutter, being with an advanced proc on it or an advanced quality level on it. But what I wanted to do is actually just test these out, just to kind of give you an idea of how fast a mag shear will actually take down a legendary enemy. So this guy is just going to pretty much melt here. I think, and that's weird too, because like I'm not sure if he was behind the chair or something, but when I was testing this before, it even went faster than that. So I'm not sure. I was actually doing like a resurrect command, but I noticed that after you kill them the first time, like resurrecting them and bringing them back, they don't seem to have the same stats as they did. So let's go ahead and do a quick test with the new baseline and see how it compares to a mag shear. So this is, this is where you would get, this is what it would be at if you just got an advanced mini cutter to drop. So there's that burning proc. And you can already see, I mean, it's taking longer than it did with the mag shear, and my battery power is down to like 30. So see how long it takes to charge back up. So at this level, it is definitely weaker than a mag shear. It does have the benefit of the burning proc. It's got the benefit of all these other mods you can put on it to have the freedom to customize which legendary perks, like a curated hand selected list of legendary perks in this mod. So that there are definite upsides, but just to show, like, if you got a mini cutter now at advanced compared to if you got a mag shear at advanced with basically the same traits, the mag shear is definitely stronger. So I think that is a good. I mean, I could do some more tests to show the different levels, but that gives you a pretty good idea. You don't need to see how long it takes to kill the guy with all the different tiers. It definitely was a little OP with the old, but I mean, here, what I wanted to show you guys is that I hate taking things away, so I did not actually do that. So if you go to the weapon workbench here, what you'll see is this is the baseline, and this is the new mod. So what you can do is, with no mod, that's just the damage of an advanced mini cutter. Now you can, these first two increase levels don't require any perks. They do require a little bit of lithium for the battery and some sealant, but this will increase it by 25%. So at this level, the battery lasts about 30% longer than a standard mini cutter or a standard game cutter. So, and as you move up the damage, that goes down. So this one is 25% more damage, but it's only 20% more battery duration than a base game cutter. And then this one is about 10% more battery duration than a base game cutter and 50% more damage, which brings the damage closer to what a mag shear would be. But again, like the mag shear is still going to be stronger than that because it's 3 times the fire rate. So and then this is the first rank that actually requires you to research a perk. It's really super easy. Magazines and battery level 1. Pretty much everyone will have that really early in the game, but this I consider to be really like the sweet spot for balance. At this level, the battery is going to be the exact same charge as the base game cutter. So, holding down the charge stronger laser beam and holding down fire will last exactly the same duration as if you did it with the base game cutter. And then the damage is increased above just the standard, but not by so much that it surpasses, or even really approaches. It's still not quite at the level where like a mag shear would be, but it's fair. Like this is I consider like the sweet spot, and it's really easy to research. It costs a lithium and a sealant, so you can get that really super early, super easy. Now beyond this are the special ones. So D200 is a 200% increase to the damage, and it's still not that ridiculous. Like before, in the first release of the mod, this was like over 100. That doesn't take it up to that level, and the battery is 10% less duration than a base game cutter. So there is a trade-off now to go up in damage beyond the sweet spot where it's fair and balanced. But you can, and you can even go up to E500. Now, this is basically, you see how the damage went up to 132? This is basically where it was in the initial release. So you can get right back to that power level you had before. It is OP. It has the burning proc, which does a ridiculous amount of damage on top of that. So, but you can get back to the same place it was. And so at D200, it's rank 2 of magazines and batteries. To get the ridiculous OP back with a 20% less than the base cutter, I think it was, reduction in battery charge. So you will notice it, but it's rank 3 required. Now, even at rank 3, that's super easy to research. You'll probably have that unlocked at like level 30 or earlier, but that's the OP level it was before. And the last one, I wanted to put this in here because one of the things people were saying is I'd like to have a version that is basically the same damage as the base game mini cutter. No more, but with the quality tiers, because the base game cutter, I keep saying base game mini cutter, the base game cutter mining laser does not actually have quality tiers. So like as your character levels up, the base game cutter doesn't have like a advanced or like superior or whatever the different quality levels. Like most weapons have 4 quality levels. As your character levels up, they'll increase up to advanced. The base game cutter does not have that. So a lot of feedback was that people wanted to have a mini cutter that had the same damage as a base game cutter, but with the added benefit of having the quality tiers as your character leveled up, but no more damage increase than just that alone, which is what this last option here, F00, F double lot, is actually like a nerf to your damage. So the base cutter in the game has a base damage of 4. The base mini cutter has a base damage of 10. This is before the quality tiers. So by default, the mini cutter is a little more than twice as strong as the base game cutter, which is, for a mod that is intended to make the cutter into an actual viable weapon. The base game cutter has incredibly low DPS. So, I mean, just a little over double the damage of the base game, mining tool is not at all OP. And that's like the baseline. Like I said, this is about the sweet spot. But this, instead of a baseline of 10 on the mini cutter, this will actually take the base damage down to 5. So the base game cutter damage is 4. This mod will take the mini cutter base damage to 5, which is almost identical to the base game cutter's damage. But you do still have the quality tiers, so as you level up, you will get some damage bonus. That's why it's 31 and not 5, because there is the this is a level 4. This is the highest quality level that it can drop at. You won't even see that level until after your character hits level 58, I think. But this, I wanted to add that too, and it doesn't require any materials. You can switch between the nerfed version and the baseline version anytime you want without any kind of material requirements or perks. But you can actually nerf the damage to make it, if you wanted to have a weapon that focused on being a crowd control weapon, you could actually put that on there. And then I think I have one. I already put that on. And you could put, you could double dip. Like these, not all the legendaries are available. Like I hand selected ones that work with the laser weapon style. So these are like curated list of, like you'll see explosive isn't on there because it doesn't work with lasers. And making it work would require basically building a whole new, and it doesn't really make sense to have a laser beam explode anyway. So anyway, these are like curated legendaries. But if you wanted to say put concussive on that one, and instead of rapid, put like staggering, and double dip on crowd control and nerf your damage, you could have like this ridiculous crowd control where you let your companions do the damage maybe, and this thing is just laying down suppression fire. That is an option now. The other thing I wanted to show is you can see this skin here. This is actually the old Mars skin that came with like the collector's edition of the game. And this other one here is the Shipbreaker skin that you get as a quest reward for the Bounty Hunter. Not the paid version, but just like the base that came with the game update. Trackers Alliance. If you just do the initial quest. So like this, just basically to show that any skin that works with the base game cutter will automatically work and show up in the list of available skins to mod your mini cutter. It also comes with like some other colors that I just put in here. The black one came out super cool. But like just to customize any, and if you had like a skin pack that added skins to the cutter, they would all work. They would all just show up in here. So they work with the mini cutter. I did want to point that out. And then the last thing I wanted to point out, so like this is in a way more balanced place now. I consider this to be, fair and balanced compared, like you could see, to the mag shear at about like the mid-tier point of a 75% boost in the same battery as the base cutter. It's still just under about where a mag shear is at, and I consider that to be totally fair. And then if you want to go up and research more perks and unlock the higher tiers of damage, you can do that. If you want to nerf the damage, you can do that. The last thing I did want to show is that the other thing I heard people talking about was crafting these. People weren't finding them. And the reason they weren't, this is Star UI, so this looks different than, especially if you're on console. This is a mod interface, but I don't know if the base game interface will even show you things that you don't have perks to be able to craft. Because this before required special projects rank 4, which is why people weren't seeing it, because special projects is at the very last tier in your skill tree of the science tree. It's in the very bottom. And rank 4, you'd have to do all the challenges to actually unlock rank 4. I wanted it to be something that you didn't get unlocked until late, because was a stronger, especially before it was OP. It was really, really strong before by default. And I I wanted to have it take a long time to unlock, but I think rank 4 of special projects, the last rank of the last tier of the science tree, was just too much. I mean, some people won't even get to the last tier of the science tree because you're unlocking too many other trees with their points. So what I did in this update also is make it so all that you need to be able to craft the mini cutter is rank 1 of special projects, which you don't have to do any challenges. I think all that requires is 12 points in the science tree total, and just drop a point into special projects, and that 1 point will let you craft mini cutters. So this is much easier, much more accessible. But if you want to get a mini cutter, all you really have to do is just go to a vendor. They are automatically added to leveled lists, so um, it doesn't conflict with any other mods. They're injected via a quest script. Basically, when you start the game, there's just a little thing that just injects into the game's default lists that define, like, where stuff drops. It just puts them in the list, so it's compatible with any other mod. But it adds it to anywhere you would find a cutter, really. So, like abandoned mines, like the dead miners that you find, like in the collapsed cave-ins. But also, like, all the vendors that sell weapons, or like Outland in New Atlantis, the vendors in all the main cities, they all sell them. So, and as you level your character up, you know, rest on a planet like Venus and reset the loot tables of the things that they have to sell, and you'll see higher level cutters show up. So you don't have to craft by yourself. You can just buy them, and they're not ridiculously expensive. So that's another way to get them as well. But I did decrease the requirement significantly, so it's only level 1 of special projects. So I appreciate all the feedback. I hope that is, like a fair and balanced way to people to actually, give a wider range of damage without just having them drop at that. To be fair, it was pretty OP. So I definitely appreciate the feedback. If you had any other comments or suggestions to make it even better, just let me know. I've got my Discord link on the mod page. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the mod. And what else was I going to say? I guess that's pretty much it. Have fun in Starfield, and I will talk to you next time.